How was it like working against Liger?
It's the coolest. I mean, there's the first time we wrestled Liger was at the Tokyo Dome show, and it was me and the Havana Pitbulls against Jushin Liger, Tiger Mask, and Kakihara. And first you go out there and you wrestle in the Tokyo Dome show in front of 40,000 people or whatever, and you go out there and you just look and you're like, this is nuts. Last week I was wrestling in front of 100 people, and so you go out there and then just everything Liger does is he knows what he's doing. It's not like you're used to wrestling indie guys, and then you go out there and wrestle a guy who's been wrestling for however long Liger's been wrestling, and had so many great matches, and is just so good. It's really, there's nothing else to compare it to.
Were you surprised at how they kind of pushed you guys a little bit while you were over there?
Yeah. Like, I thought we were going to get buried the entire time.
You worked the main event towards the end of the tour, right?
Yeah, I did one main event. That was more because of who we were wrestling against than because of anything I did, But yeah, it was me, Scott Norton, and Jack Bull against Chono and Nagata and Liger. And then the very next night, we got to do a semi-main event with me and Scott Norton against Liger and Nagata. And I mean, those guys are awesome, just awesome wrestlers. So it was really special. It was really cool. So
I'll name a couple of guys you worked there. Give me, your opinions on them and what you thought of your matches. Kanemoto.
Kanemoto is awesome. He he was my favorite person to wrestle over there because he would kick you, and it's hard. He kicks you hard, but he kicks you in such safe places that it's unreal. He is so good, and he knows, like, him and Boss Rutan had a match when we were over there, and it was just, Boss Rutan's had like 6 matches or something like that, I think. And they went out there, and for 10 minutes, they were just awesome. And the crowd loved it. It was, one of the best matches on the show. I think that was the same show that Chono and Nagata went 60 minutes. And so it was just awesome. But he's a phenomenal wrestler.
Chono.
Chono, I didn't really get to wrestle him too much, but he's way up here. Like, he's the man. I think he's like the booker. I think he's the main booker. I don't really know how the structure is of it, but he's been on top for so long, and he knows so much what he's doing. But he's really down to earth. Like, he took us out to eat for a little bit, and he was just having casual conversation with me, not like so what do you think of New Japan type stuff, but just like, oh, where are you from, oh, yada yada yada, oh, how's your mom or whatever, that kind of stuff. But not in one of those mom jokes kind of ways. I mean, he was just a really nice guy.
How about, did you work, I'm sure you did at some point in the match, against Nagata in that tag match?
Yeah. Nagata's really nice too. The thing about New Japan is all the guys are so professional. And so, like, even, I don't know if any of the guys back there have heat, but if they do, we would have never known. They're all so nice, and everybody comes up to you. How are you? Are you enjoying your stay? Every day. Every day they ask me, are you enjoying your stay? Yes, we love it, And so, and Nagata is actually one of the first guys who said, if you need anything, let me know. Because when he was over here in the States, it was hard for him because he didn't know much English, and he understands, and almost all those guys do because they send them out to different countries or whatever to get experience around the world. And they all have that experience of going somewhere and not knowing the language. And so all those guys, they're just they're so nice and polite because they understand going to Japan and not knowing how anybody talks or anything, and not knowing how that company wrestles and stuff like that. You can watch the tapes, but you don't know what they want. And so Nagata and I got to chain wrestle a little bit, and it was a lot of fun. So
El Samurai.
El Samurai, I had my second singles match against him, and I actually got to beat El Samurai, and he was cool, just like everybody else. It was just all mat wrestling. It was what they call a Muga show, which is, it's New Japan, but it's almost all mat wrestling, and it's for a lot of the younger guys like Chono and those guys. I don't think are on those shows very much, and so it was a lot of just mat wrestling and hard wrestling, and it was good. It was fun.
You wrestled Heat, I guess, Minoru Tanaka.
Yeah, I think a lot of these things are going to sound the same, but he's so quick. That's the thing about Minoru Tanaka, is that you turn around and he's already there. Like you can't explain it. Like he's one of those guys who can flip the switch and already be in bed before the lights go out, because he's just like, he does these things where he'll kick you in the head, and you'll be selling it, and then you'll get kicked over here, and all this time you're thinking, how, it's not feasible that he just kicked me that fast, but him and Tiger Mask are just two of the quickest guys you'll ever see, and so just, we get, before shows and stuff, we shoot wrestle with them a little bit. I only got to do it like once or whatever, but even when we couldn't do it with them, we'd watch, and he's just so amazingly quick. It's unreal.
How about Jado and Gato?
Jado and Gato are, I think, probably the best heels, like probably the best heel juniors I've seen in a really long time. They really know how to get heat from Japanese fans, and the neat thing about those guys is how much they love American wrestling. Like Gato was telling us how much he loves the Midnight Express. And I just thought that's so weird for a Japanese team to be sitting here saying how much they love the Midnight Express. And I told him I got to train with Bobby Eaton a little bit. Oh, And so that's really cool.
What did you learn from working all these guys?
A lot about how to use little things to make matches better. Like a big problem with indie wrestling, I think, is people don't know how to use little things to make a match entertaining. So they have to use big things because that's all they know how to do. And so when we went over there, we learned how to make the little things, a better understanding of how to make little things, turn little things into big things is the most important thing. And they can get the most out of the littlest spot by setting it up different ways. And so, and most of it too, they don't call a million spots. They call a couple maybe in the finish or whatever. And so it's just going out there and just, wrestling hard. So,
was it difficult at all with the language barrier? Was there one?
No, because so many of those guys understand English, and the wrestling language is kind of universal. You do this, people understand. Oh, hip toss. I don't think anybody thinks you're going to give them a suplex, when you're doing that. So,
what was it like touring for an entire month for the first time?
It was easy. I wish we didn't want to come home. We would have stayed over there for a year if they wanted us to. At that point, you probably would have wanted to come home, but then it was just like, we wanted to stay longer. The food is good, the people are really nice, and the wrestling's great. So, you don't really want to leave.
Who was the most helpful?
I'm going to have to give that to the referees, Tayama-san and Uno-san. They're both, they're referees, and they would take us out. Like, Uno picked us up from the airport to take us to the hotels and everything. He took us out a couple times. And Tayama, who's really, really helpful, just because he would tell us, we had a match, whatever, and we were always asking for criticism, please, and they'd give us little things. Tayama would tell me even more specific things, like on a superplex. I think on the superplex, maybe you sell more. Like when I gave somebody a suplex, sell it more myself. And yeah, okay, I'll do that. Or maybe you cover here instead of not covering, and then he'd tell me why. And so he was very, very helpful.
How about the Americans that were on the tour?
The only ones really on the tour were Scott Norton and the new Great Muta. The new Great Muta hurt his knee really, really bad, and so like he tore an ACL or something like that. So it'll probably be 6 months before he's able to do anything again. Scott Norton is. I was really afraid of kind of meeting Scott Norton just because he's so intimidating looking in the ring. But if you would see him put together matches or whatever with Jack Bull, him and Jack Bull were mostly teaming throughout the tour. Scott would put the matches together in a way where what he'd say is, okay, I want you guys to get your offense in on me so you guys can let Jack shine. He was so unselfish, and he knows what his role in wrestling is, and he has no ego. He said, you want me to lose? I don't care. And so he knows he's on his way out and that Jack's on his way up. So he's doing everything he can to help Jack out. And so a lot of guys, would be trying to cling on to their position, but he's very smart with his money. Like, he's in a financial position, I think, where if they said, okay, we don't want to bring you back anymore, thank you, for all the opportunities you've given me over the last 14 years. And, he saved his money. I think he owns his house or whatever. And so, he's set for the rest of his life.
Was China on tour with you guys?
Yeah. She wasn't on the tour, though. Like, she came in for the Tokyo Dome show, and then she came in for the pay-per-view show, and that was it. Like, I never really hung out with her or anything. So,
is there anybody that you've wanted to work on the tour that you just didn't get a chance to?
On the tour that I wanted to work, I'm trying to think. I really want to wrestle Nishimura. Just in an old school 30-minute match. I don't know if that match would ever get booked. But I'd love to do it just because I love the way he wrestles. He wrestles, so much like a 70s, early 80s style. And I'd love to wrestle him, but I don't know if that'll ever be in the cards, really.
Did you get any positive or negative feedback from New Japan?
Positive feedback. We got mostly positive feedback, but not a lot of specific positive feedback. We didn't really get too much negative feedback. But it's that kind of thing where there wasn't a lot of negative feedback to give because those guys are so good that anything negative that we do, they cover up for it, And so it's one of those things like we run around in a rat cage, you think, well, maybe am I that good? Or are those guys just covering up for me so good that, you can't see it? So I don't know.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.